Hi, welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, I'd like you to like and share any of the videos that you're enjoying, just to spread the good news. This week we are April 25th to April 31st, getting close to the end of the month, the very last day of the month coming up. We've been experiencing the Libra full moon energy, which has been a very big energy. Lots going on in the head, having to do with, a lot of it has to do with other people's stuff, I think. It's not all your stuff, it's other people's stuff. And Libra is all about balancing the scales and justice, fairness for all. So it's really bringing what's been out of whack into balance. And even if it's about other people, that will affect you, because while they're balancing and their scales are tipping, it will have that ripple effect across everybody's lives. So I'm curious to know how that is affecting you. I've heard some friends and acquaintances that they've been going through a lot of head stuff, lots of, it must be all that mulling over and over and over. And it's important to consider what the Brandy readings have been saying for a few weeks, and that is to do everything from your heart, which is different than your head. You need to do what feels right. It's all about the feelings. It's not about the logical steps for this. It's about your feelings. So go with your gut instinct, and sometimes it will be very counterintuitive to do the right thing, because if you do it logically, it would seem the more logical, the right way to do it, but this time you really need to go with your gut. And this will have an effect for a whole month. Plus we still have that Mercury retrograde. So the cards are very telling. We've got the Page of Wands, the Ten of Swords. That's what's been going on in your head. This is the Hermit card. Love the Hermit card. I did the Mexican Loteria card, La Rosa. I like the number 2, 41. And we're doing a big reading today. And the Manga Warata, we've got some Bushflower Essence healing cards. So what does it mean? Right away when I picked up this card, I really felt like this is about having to do a sidestep. With all this energy having to be rebalanced around you, you still have wands. Wands have been coming in strongly over many weeks, and the wands are all about new ideas and where you're headed. And this is maybe reconsidering doing a sidestep. Maybe it's re-examining where you want to go. It's also having to be chameleon-like. So I always say the person who can do a little bit of change, the person with the most flexibility, controls the situation. So if you suddenly get this thing out of the blue because of all the changes that have gone on around you, you just need to take that big breath in, and even though you might be angry about it, just let the anger go about it and think, well, how is this best gonna, how can I best handle this situation? Because I'll tell you, with some of these cards that are coming up, there will be changes, and I've said this before, there's endings. There's a lot of endings and new beginnings. Remember, we were in that gap a few weeks ago, the gap between things ending and the new beginning. So this is all part of that process. This is part of you taking the next step. And also remember, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you have no idea about. And even though it might seem grim at the moment, it is not. It's very, very promising and hopeful. So it's important that you are able to go with the flow, even though it might make you angry, and think about, how can I make this work? What can I do to be a chameleon? Just try to readapt, and it's like one step in front of the other. For that attitude, you will get a feather in your cap. It'll be, whether it's a feather in your cap that somebody will acknowledge, or whether it's spirit giving you a feather in your cap for being able to be so flexible. This is also for some of you that are very into spiritual ideas and work. This can also have to do with pyramids. Anything that you've got to do with pyramids, whether it is the Egyptian pyramids or any pyramids, you might want to do some meditation on the pyramids. This also, people that live in central Queensland, this has to do with new ideas and travel to the west. It has to do with traveling to places where it's a little bit dry. It could also mean you're just coming out of hardship times, like, you know, when things have dried up, work has dried up. It could be anything like that. But this is ready to take the next step and reevaluate and just be that chameleon that maybe you've never been like that before, but now's your time when you need to do it this week coming up. This 10 of Swords, it looks pretty grim. They've been stabbed in the back big time. They're actually not dead. It looks like they might be, but they're not. And see how their fingers are crossed? It's a symbol. It's a symbol of good luck, good fortune, and hope. This card is all about hope. The dawn is actually, you know, it's sort of like the darkest is what is it, the word? There's darkness before dawn, but the darkness is lifting, and it is all about what is coming up. So if you think about all these endings, clearing the dross, which is that, so I had to wear this today because this is called a chakra. It's Balinese, and it's a symbol that cuts through spirituality, cutting through to give truth. And this is what happens in our lifetime. We have all these tests and stages we need to go through. And you're being tested right now, perhaps, many of you, or people around you. And swords are words. This looks like there's been a lot of bad words going on. And they've affected you, whether it's been directly to you or around you. And it's been very hard for you to be around that. But the good news is that is passing. We've got the Hermit card next. And the Hermit is a major arcana card, which is, it's almost like karmic. And it looks bleak. You know, he's up on top of some, I'd say the Himalayas. And it looks bleak. But the light is shining his way. The light for you is all your wisdom you already have. Just think, most of you that are looking at this will have lived a while, and you will have hopefully learned from your past mistakes. And if you haven't, you have to think about there's patterns that are going on for you, and see, you know, you probably, if you're saying, why is it always me? Well, it's because you're not getting it. It's like time to wake up. That spirit saying, wake up. Do things differently. Shift. You need to be like the chameleon. Go do a thing that's very different than you've done all the time. Don't be so logical. You need to go from the heart, because what you might really need to do might not make sense at this point in time. This is a really super positive card because he has the light shining his way, and really it is the light from high above. It is the essence of the heavens, source, God, whatever it is you believe in. And that's actually what's shining your way. So if you come from your heart and not your head, Spirit will help to guide you to where you need to go. He has his staff, his trusty staff, to help him to lead the way. He's a wise man. He's a hermit. Hermits often in spirituality, they've been in caves and they're enlightened. And this is your time to be enlightened. show all the wisdom that you have, which you will have. We've all got it. Meditate. Not that it'll always come to you. I often meditate, and I'm getting downloads and interesting symbols, and I just have come to the realization that some of the meditation, it's happening, things are happening to you, but you don't recognize it. It's like osmosis. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents worth about meditation. La Rosa. So we've got a beautiful, beautiful rose. We've got the thorns on the rose. The rose can mean love. For a beautiful rose to appear, it needs to be nurtured. It also loves shit. It loves manure. It grows in manure. If you think about all the manure in your life that's around you, you need to grow up out of that. See? And it can be all the stuff that people have said, this quagmire of stuff you've become involved in. It's time to exit that. There, you know, a beautiful rose still has thorns, so nobody's perfect. And it's also maybe, you know, maybe you need to protect yourself more. Perhaps you need to protect yourself. Roses can have, normally I associate roses with a gorgeous smell. Now we've got hybrids and not many of them do, but they have a lovely essence and scent about them. They start off as this little bud and open. This is what's happening. This is all what's happening for you. For months, for a year, this whole evolving's been happening, and it's about supporting your lineage, your line, this lifeline you're supposed to be living right now. And it's, you know, it's really, for some of you, it's really working out well. It feels maybe very terrible because you're in that spot from endings to beginnings, and there's a lot of muck that you're dealing with. But really go inside, be true to yourself, go for your gut. You can't help what's going on for other people. Remember, don't let other people that are close to you, don't let their dirtiness, like muddy waters, whatever they've got involved in, that's their path. It's not yours. Because you're married to them, or because you're dating them, or you're working for them, it does not have to be yours. You can remove yourself from that. So that's La Rosa. And then we have the Mangawarata, which it's a strengthening one's will. And it actually is talking about it's for people that need to move on. Which makes me laugh because these cards do bring that up very regularly. It's about addictions. It is about people that are stuck in bad relationships. This card is strengthening your will to move on from that. It said exactly that when I looked it up. It's like saying it's time for people to move on and cut clean ties from whether it's addictions or people or career, which is usually, if it's a career, it's usually based around people. So it's time to move ahead, but to know all is well in this muck. It actually is very, very good. The dawn is coming. And after that, once you learn to cut your ties, I can't wait to see the cards for next week, but as we get into, did I say April? I probably did. Sorry, at the beginning of this reading, I think I said April. It's March. I hope I said March. March 25th to March 31st. I might have got ahead of myself there. But, you know, April's coming up, and probably by the I feel like 3 weeks into April, things will really have shifted if you've made your moves, and there will definitely be some passion coming up, I think. Scorpio's probably our next full moon, and I think it's a very passionate moon, but I can't say for sure that it's Scorpio. I'm not sure. But come from your heart and your gut and take some time out to really evaluate, even if you need to write it down, which problems are yours, which problems are someone else's. I'd say more than likely you're going around and around your head about other people's problems and worries, and they might affect you because you're letting it. You just need to say, that's yours, and this is what I'm going to do. And if they, you know, unfortunately, we're in these relationships, and I say unfortunately because it's at these times, like it is right now, it becomes unfortunate when they are having to do this, and you're thinking you have to do that, but really you need to go off this way, and they need to go off that way. They need to learn their lessons in life. You need to learn your lessons in life. It's tricky. It's extremely tricky. And I just hear in the background my favorite birds have just arrived. What a lovely message. So look after yourselves, breathe, do some activity, don't be so much in your head. Give yourselves good, like, kitty shape, like a dog. Jump up and down, really loosen up your limbs, go for a jog, go for a walk, get in the ocean, if there aren't any blue bottles around. Actually, that wasn't my good analogy. I went to the beach today to go for a swim. I was heading in the water. These people said, no, too many blue bottles around, you better not go in. And then I thought, yeah, okay, I would love to, but I can't. And so I looked around, and it was a beautiful sunny day. The water was glittering. I could enjoy that, even though I couldn't go in it, and I could be frustrated with that. I could see the islands, they're still there. There was a beautiful beach to walk on. And then I even was lucky enough to bump into an acquaintance who is probably going to become a friend. And so, you know, there's all this great stuff around you and me, and so just don't let these things grow so big, because in your whole lifetime it is a speck, really. Even if it's like a divorce, it's big at the time and it can become a speck. So look after yourselves, love and light to you, and see you next week.